Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that will not stand idly by and be threatened by other podcasts, something, you know the meme. This week on Heart and Hand, Shkupi done, Osijek next. So welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Ergett. I am your host, and I'm joined this week by two of my fabulous pod compatriots. First of all, the wonderful Mr. Ian Hogg.
Good evening, David. Good evening, everyone.
Making his season bow, it's our tactics expert, Mr. Adam Thornton.
Good evening, guys.
Quite a lot to talk about. Kind of wonder how we used to get by with just one pod a week in the old days. Okay, you know, when I came to look, I was like, God, Shkupi was last Tuesday. But, we have to go all the way back then. Rangers heading over to North Macedonia. And first things first, because we don't, we don't sweep things under the carpet in this side of the city. That prick with the racist abuse to the wee girl should not be allowed to be put forward as the representative of our support. I thought that, the guy's obviously a disgrace, total wank, but the glee with which the media fasten onto this and go, oh look, this is Rangers fans, while ignoring the literally dozens and dozens of clips of the same family having a whale of a time with Rangers fans, tells you something about the agenda.
Yeah, it does. First and foremost, if you're going to go and see Rangers, I think you've got a responsibility to Rangers. You're there on your own dime, but don't prance about in a fucking Rangers scarf and pretend that you're representative of our club. Absolutely no chance. Like you said, David, there were scores of videos of said family having a whale of a time. Little kids up in shoulders and all the rest of it. At the end of the day, big bad Rangers, racism, sectarianism, call it what you like, it sells in this country. There's a real appetite for bad Rangers and a real appetite for negative stories.
It's quite ironic, Adam, that the people who do it are the ones who, for certain sections of society, will quite rightly say, now look, you can't use the actions of one or two people to represent a whole community. Yet with us, they not only do that, they actually go actively looking for the worst examples of it, and which this guy would fit into.
Yeah, I think if you look in any support, you'll see things like that. But yeah, we do seem to get our fair share of bad publicity from it, and I'm not sure it's relevant to the good that we do. Like you said, we've all seen all the videos of the family, and indeed lots of Macedonians having a whale of a time, but none of that seems to get reported. It's just always the negative stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what frustrates after a wee while, that you know what the agenda is, and that's not in any way, shape or form to defend this cretin, who
not at all.
I agree with Hoggy entirely. I think you are representing the club, and we want to put our best face forward. But again, there's also aspects to things like that, like this is a societal problem, this is an educational problem in Scotland, but it's easier to just say no, it's not, it's just Rangers fans are scumbags. It's a lot easier to do that than to say, well, this is where poverty, lack of education and alcohol abuse mix. It's easier though to say no, it's not, it's just Rangers fans, and look, here's a flag. So moving on to away from that, but like I say, we address stuff. We're not possessed of an enormous brush. So moving on to the match itself, Rangers 2-0 up from the first leg against FK Shkupi, and went into the match. I thought quite confident. Never at any point did Rangers look as though that we were in trouble and we were going out. Nor, and this is not a controversial opinion, and it was one shared by the manager, did we ever look like scoring, Hoggy?
No, I think conscious or unconscious safety, I think, was the probably the words I would use. I fully expected, and I think the manager and the team did. I fully expected Shkupi to come out the blocks and really have a major go at us, a prolonged period of pressure to get a goal. The local journalists were effectively talking them up that way, and the day or two before, Steven Gerrard batted that away. So I really expected it, and it never came. So first half, it was almost one of those games whereby we played within ourselves, expecting something that never happened. Second half, we came out a little, but it was a drag to watch. But I'm glad we're through.
Oh yeah, look, I said to someone after it, I will take kind of success, comfy boredom, ahead of utter fucking catastrophe, which is what we saw last year. I certainly felt a hell of a lot worse after last year's first round tie than I did after this one. So, no, absolutely. But, Adam, tactically, I thought we started slightly different with what looked to be a 4-2-3-1, but very quickly, whether by accident or design, went into the 4-3-3 that we'd seen the week before. But with the main change being Jamie Murphy seemed to be more central.
Yeah, I think Gerrard had spoken about the need to be a bit tighter away from home, which is welcome, I think, after the last couple of years. But it was like that. It was a kind of deeper. It was very similar to last year's formation, I would say. It was with the deeper two, and then you had Murphy, Windass and Candeias behind Morelos, all kind of interchanging. I thought Murphy started quite well, but then was very poor. Kind of strangely, as we kind of come back into the game, he seemed to drop out of it a little bit. But it was a more cautious, I think we'll say, performance. And as you said, David, if we won 2-0 in the first leg, I will take that result and that performance every single time for the second leg.
We were, I think, struggling in certain basic things, lads, that was a bit disappointing, which was, again, I didn't think our passing moving forward was crisp at all. Too many guys caught in possession, and I think that this is going to be a challenge, or one of the challenges for Steven Gerrard and his team, is to coach this extra touch out of them, because this is something which, obviously, given the criticism and the bad results and whatnot, has crept into their play a little bit, and it's understandable for some of the players, but they do it so often where. We spoke about it for the home leg, and we spoke about how at times Michael Beale in particular was openly his body language was openly frustrated at it. It's something that we seem to do quite a lot, Hoggy, where guys want that extra touch or they turn back for the safe pass. Is that confidence?
I would have thought so. I think it's genuinely, David, a hangover from the back end of last season, and also this time last season when things didn't go according to plan against Progress Niederkorn. And given, frankly, the midfield and the forward line are pretty much the same. So I do think it's confidence. I'm hoping that a few good results and that will start to address itself. If you look at the second half against of the friendly match against Bury that we played, that extra touch wasn't there.
No, it wasn't.
Especially in the last half hour, because they were confident, because things were coming off for them. I think such was the expectancy at Ibrox in the Shkupi game. And then that second match, that it was almost just the safety first was the order of the day. So I think, you look at the defence is almost wholesale changes, 4 out of 5 changes in the keeper and the back four. Thought they were very, very good, but certainly that second leg, the midfield and the forward line, exactly the same as last year. So I do think it all stems from the last 2 months of the season and even back to Progress last year.
Yeah, Adam, this is something that we and other Rangers fans have been saying, I was going to say back to Murty, but probably back to Caixinha as well, that this Rangers team, and there's still quite a few players from that era, they are better when they play at pace. They are a significantly better side to watch. They're more dangerous. It just seems that whenever they're not quite at or they don't feel quite at the top of their game or top of their confidence levels, they sort of retreat into this safety first, extra touch, turn inside, keep the ball, anodyne sort of style of play, as opposed to Hoggy mentioned there the Bury game, and there were certain times last season where when they feel confident, they try that stuff a lot more. It does seem to be a little bit, but I mean, they must know that the manager doesn't want that from them. He doesn't want them sterile possession. He wants them trying this stuff. So is the onus then on the players? Because the manager, I don't think, could have made it much clearer that I don't want that, don't do that.
I think it stretches back further than that. I can remember more than a few Warburton games were the same, with the kind of safe possession when he was kind of more about, it was possession based, but he wanted it forward at pace, and it's transferred through to Coutinho, to Murray and Gerrard. It's a strange one because, like you said, there's loads of players in there that are comfortable with that. Murphy being one, Windass probably as well to a certain extent, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I think it is a confidence thing. I think we've seen quite a few of those players have got heavy battle scars from last year, so when it doesn't happen for them immediately, I think their confidence will start to get knocked, and I think it will take more than 2 or 3 weeks of training to get that back from them. I still think, as I did last year, that the midfield is more of a problem than the forward line itself, but we'll come on to that, I'm sure.
Well, we might as well go there now. I was going to say the two main talking points that I gathered from social media, people talking to me, my own personal opinion, I've got to say, was defence. Quite happy with that, looking quite good, and we'll come to that in a minute, because praise where it's due. I was like, yep, good, like the look of that. And okay, there's things you want to see improve, but second game in, no, that'll do me with 4 new players. But up front, I thought, and this is not me being controversial, I think Steven Gerrard said it himself, there was no quality at all, middle to front. And the amount of good situations, you can't call them chances because we never manufactured the chances, but the amount of good situations that we absolutely failed to take advantage of was so bloody frustrating.
Yeah, it was. I think you're right. I think cutting edgewise we're not there. But I think that will come to some of the players. I'm less confident it will come for some of them, maybe like Windass and Morelos. I happen to think that this is just the type of players that they are, but someone like a Murphy, or even a bit further back, and Arfield will chip in with a decent amount of goals, but it wasn't a very good night in front of goal at all. No,
I mean, Hoggy, the 3 front players had really bad matches, let's be honest. Credit to Josh Windass, who twice, and this is what he can give you, it's why Josh is so bloody frustrating, twice nearly manufacture something for himself. He wasn't relying on the players behind him in a way that maybe Morelos is, or even Murphy, to get the ball up to him. He just went and got the ball and almost made something happen. But then long spells where he wasn't in the game or was taking the wrong options. Morelos, I thought, was awful, and watched the game twice now. I just think he had a really bad night. And as Adam said, Murphy, I thought it started okay, and I thought, oh, he's in the mood tonight. After about 10 minutes, I was pretty keen. I had him for first goal scorer, so pardon my frustration, but I thought he was in the mood and he just completely faded out of it. And the manager backed them but warned them, if that makes sense, where he said, I think that there's goals in that dressing room, but if we continue to play like that, I'll need to look at it. So it's clearly something that's on his mind.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, one of the things the first 2 or the first 3 games, if you include the friendly, have shown, because Candeas has been playing in the middle of the park, that's actually blunted a wee bit of our goal scoring chances. What was the stat, David, that he creates when he played last season? They created 2 gilt-edged goal-scoring chances per game.
Yeah, on average, every 91 minutes, so just slightly over one game.
So therefore, if we're playing him in the centre of the park and not out wide, that's going to limit our chances. But that's not an excuse for Murphy playing well for the first 15 minutes and then falling away completely. I thought Windass was all right. I thought, if we compare him to the previous Shkupi match, he was night and day. But he was all right, and he did probably more good things than bad. Morelos is becoming a complete conundrum. If we play him, he can be worse than a man short inside the box. Yet his hold-up play outside the box is everything that was spoken about in the pods previously. He is a converted attacking midfielder, and it shows continually. He's obviously comfortable as a second striker, almost holding up the play and creating the chances. But that instinctiveness, I don't think that's there just as a natural gift. And there was a header in the first half that, the ball's coming in, and even when the ball was going in, I was watching the game with my dad, David, and my dad said he's never scored in that, and of course he heads it high and wide. We need so much better from a goal scorer, from a number 9. We simply cannot rely on him scoring the goals that are going to take us to, or take us into the domestic campaign, let's put it that way. Because in the domestic campaign, if we're creating 5-6 chances, we need to score 2 or 3 of them to make sure that we've got the game put away. And I fully expect Morelos not to play this week against the Croatians.
Adam, there are certain positions that you can't play yourself back into form. And look, over and above the debate about Morelos, I know that some people think he's absolutely brilliant and just having a bad time. I know some people think he's rubbish, and this is just an extension of that. I happen to think that he is talented, but he's clearly out of form, very badly out of form at the moment for whatever reason. There are just some positions though that it's difficult to play yourself back into form, and the ones I would pick out would be goalkeeper, centre half, or up front on your own, not part of a 2 when you're leading the line, because there's so much expected of you. It's a highly pressurised role, and any mistakes are so visible and usually quite vital to the outcome of the match. So I don't know what the right thing to do is, just to say we'll play him through this and it'll come for him, or we'll sit him on the bench for a couple of weeks, but that then, is Sadiq ready? It's a real conundrum.
It is, and I take Hoggy's point about him being a converted attacking midfielder is true, and you can kind of see that. However, it's quite strange. It's as if in his head he wants to be a striker. The amount of frustration he gets when he misses a chance, it's like he wants to be one, but he must just lack the killer instinct that he needs to be the top striker that he wants to be. I mean, there's no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt in his desire. Playing him a little further back, I'm not really an advocate of that. I think we need a bit more. He's good at that as a kind of powerful attacking mid, if you like. But I would prefer someone a wee bit creative in there, as I'm sure you know. I think you're right. I think that position is one that you just need to take them out the firing line. For me, I think he will need to take a seat in the bench for this week. I can't see. If Gerrard was fuming about him after the first game, then I would imagine he's feeling even worse after that one, because he wasn't anywhere near it. And I'm a huge fan of Morelos. I do think all the conversations that we have, and we don't have any time for this as Rangers fans. I get that, but we do need to caveat the fact that he's 22. We bought him for £1 million, and this is kind of what you get for £1 million, and he has outperformed his money compared to pretty much any signing, I would say, that we've had in the last year. You do need to caveat that, but at the same time you do need to appreciate that, as I've said on a couple of pods recently, we're kind of getting a wee bit fed up of projects, and we just want someone who might not have the potential that Morelos has got, but will come in and be a couple of levels above him, ready to go right now. That's, I think, where we're at with him.
And I think just on that, Adam, I think we need to take the money side out of the equation for a minute, because I think he's got caught up in the money himself, certainly from China. But the money that we spent for him, the first 6 months, he looked like a revelation. The last 3 months, he's looked like he's kind of awkward Monopoly playing twin brother. Yep. And, so we need to set aside that we've paid £1 million for him, or 800, however much it was. He needs to set aside a Chinese team bidding multi-million pounds and dangling 40 grand a week at him.
Yeah, I can't. I cannot. Nobody will convince me that he hasn't fallen off a cliff since January, because up until then, yes, he went through that period where he wasn't scoring, but he was always dangerous. He was usually good. You know, listen back to the pot. He was usually the one you go, well, you got Shiffy Alfie, he's hold up play. But since then, and other people might point to the miss against Celtic, which is fair point, but nobody will convince me that his head hasn't been turned and deliberately by his agent. I don't buy it. I think that they've got into the kid's head.
I think that's right, David. You know, it's why I'm not keen to talk about Andy cost X and we could get Y for him. I simply either want him as an asset to the team, back being a goal scorer, back being the guy that you could rely on. Say, you know, in August, September, October time, we could rely on his goals, we could rely on his work rate. He either gives that or he doesn't. If he doesn't do it, he doesn't deserve to be in the team. And at the minute, personal opinion, I do not trust him to be in that team.
Adam, I've liked the look so far of the defence. Caveat again that I haven't really faced an awful lot, and I get that. But also, you need to balance that with the fact that this is a brand new defence that's learning its trade together. I thought we saw a little bit in the brief times that Shkupi threatened. I thought we saw that Alan McGregor, what he can still do. But Goldson and Katic look, you know, certainly so far, you think, okay, yeah, happy with that. The bedding in is going reasonably well.
It is. It's actually ahead of schedule, I would say, as far as no goals conceded. Not a huge amount of pressure, but we've not looked in much danger. Goldson looks a level above anything we've had, and certainly in the last 7 years or so.
Goldson is
definitely.
Goldson is. Whether or not it works out here, I don't know, but Goldson is a better centre half than anything we've had since pre-admin. Not even close.
Yeah, and I have seen a wee bit of criticism about Katic, but I've not really seen it myself. I think he's been fine. I haven't really noticed anything untoward. He seems quite physical. He seems half decent in the air when he's been tested. He just maybe is fallen a little bit victim to that comparison of he's just not quite been as pristine as Goldson, so people think he's a little bit further behind. I think he's been fine. I also seen a little bit of criticism of Flanagan after the first leg, which I thought was bizarre. I think he has been exactly what you would want him to be. He's a perfect foil for Tav on the other side. One goes, one stays. He'll more often stay, but he can get forward as well. That is part of his game, and he'll make the left winger, whoever that may be, a bit better. Now he's obviously 2 games and there's been 3 people in front of him, I think, so far in terms of changes, so that won't help, but he's one of those players who will make the left winger, if it's Jamie Murphy or whoever it is, better as well with his support play. So I think very good from the defence, and it's interesting that it took 2 games to sort of defence, but the same midfield is still causing serious problems.
I think, yeah, definitely going forward, because I don't think we've got the balance right in midfield yet, Hoggy, but I would say that it can't hurt a defence when they're settling in to have 2 holding midfielders in front of them, which they did the other night with Ryan Jack, who I thought did all right, and Ross McCrory, who didn't have a good night but still is able to, you know, physically be there to block and screen and whatnot, more than certain other midfielders we've had would do.
Yeah, who knew that if you're potentially up against it, or you're expecting folk to come out at you, who knew that going toe-to-toe with them in the middle of the park would be a good thing? I wonder if previous managers might want to take note.
I think of one manager who didn't believe that, but go on.
Indeed. I'm not going to name names, Graham. So that certainly helped, but the defence have been very, very impressive. I think the defence, just as a unit, have been impressive. Easily, and I mean easily, better than anything we've seen in the last 7 years. And we've got a goalie, a centre-half pairing that I think you can trust more often than not. I think Adam was right. I actually, I've not seen anything from Katic that puts him in the dodgy bracket. I do wonder, I've always got this thing about centre-halves when they're massive and maybe quite young, and they still look that kind of awkward, gangly way, David, that, if they're alongside who you might think is a more kind of pristine looking guy, defender, a bit more elegant defender, the awkward guy maybe looks that wee bit more awkward. But I think they look the part. The two defensive, more defensive minded midfielders. The track Ryan Jack was okay. Ross McCrory was average and needs to have a look at himself at other times. But the thing I liked about Ross McCrory is he never hid.
No, he never does.
He's always,
you get a
he's
shift,
always
yeah.
there. Yeah, and it's more than a shift. He was always looking for the ball as well. He was always there to provide Ross Jack fucking again, Hoggy. Ryan Jack with an out ball. And he was always looking for it, even if he'd made 2 or 3 mistakes in a row. And actually, for a young player, that's a cracking quality to have. I don't expect the kid to be a first team, to be a first team regular this season. I suspect Koulibaly will come in and take that role, but to see that after what you could argue was a relatively poor performance was actually quite heartening.
The interesting thing about McCrory for me, Hoggy, is that I completely agree with that, and I don't think we should see him as a first team regular this year, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the standard needs to be raised across the board. So he came in last year and we were desperate, and he came in and he did a great job. Giving him this year as the first sub or the second sub that comes on in central midfield, and he gets half an hour here, half an hour there, will be ideal for his development. I think maybe filling in at right back every so often gives him a year of being part of the squad without the pressure of being the main man in there, and that's right. And I think it's about raising the standard. If I don't particularly think that Ryan Jack is a great player, and I wouldn't have him in my starting lineup, but if Ryan Jack then turns into the Andy Halliday of this season, then that's an upgrade. That's your fifth choice central midfielder, if you like. That's an upgrade. So I think that's a good point, and I think it doesn't necessarily mean it's a detriment to McCrory.
Wee bit surprised, just as an aside, when we see Andy Halliday coming on in both matches with the news that Greg Docherty will more than likely be heading out the door on loan. I mean, I'll be honest, I was a little surprised at that. Yeah,
I was. Andy, there's few things in life that could survive a nuclear blast. Cockroaches being one, bacteria being another, and Andy Halliday, I suspect.
Andy Halliday's Rangers career, more specifically, yeah. Well, indeed, I don't blame him. I mean, if I was at Rangers and had a contract, you would need a fucking chisel and a hammer to claw me off the doors to get. I was
going to say that, yeah. I was going to say that. Fair play to the guy that, a lot of us would suspect he would be moving on. There's 6 weeks to go, or 5.5 weeks to go to the end of the transfer window. He might still, but fair play to him for hanging on in there and actually playing a role already under Steven Gerrard. I don't think Andy Halliday's the best footballer in the whole wide world, but neither do I think he's the worst. And I suspect he's probably not an altogether bad guy to have around the changing room.
No, I was just a wee bit surprised though with Docherty, who I think, but at the end of the day, I'm basing a lot of this on my hopes for him, I suppose, rather than what he can actually deliver just now, which is clearly what the manager is looking at. So
I guess, David, you're going to have who would the manager and Mark Allen think would have a more prolonged first team Rangers career? I think the answer's got to be Greg Docherty. So therefore, if he's not going to feature, you've got to put him out on loan, and out on loan to a club like, well, whether it happens or not, Sunderland. That's got to be a good move. They'll be at the top of League One, a large expectant support. If he goes somewhere like that and plays regularly every week, I can only think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Shame though, because as I say, I do like him, but I'm not going to argue with Steven Gerrard and Gary McAllister about midfield players. That would be, I think, a fairly redundant position to take. So moving on then, lads, through it. Good, we know what it's like not to get through this round, so no complaints from me either. And we then head into the next round, where we'll play on Thursday night. We're away to Osijek of Croatia. They came through their first round tie eventually. Not as easy as I think it was sort of predicted for them. They struggled a bit, but got there in the end against F3 Petrolcub. I watched the match, Adam, or highlights of the match. They look very... they play a press. They're very much physical. I don't mean that in a Motherwell way. I just mean that they lots of energy, in your face, don't give you time on the ball. Created quite a few chances against Petrolcub, didn't take them, and that's what put them in a bit of bother. But knocked out PSV Eindhoven last year. Obviously, sides change over the course of 12 months, but no mugs.
No, I must admit when I heard that I didn't follow the Europa League last year, I was absolutely scunnered with it, I think, by the start of July. But when I heard about the PSV thing, I was quite surprised. I thought that was a really good result. I haven't seen much of the game outside the goals from the other week, but from what I hear, the two centre halves look quite young, but I think they can definitely be got at. I think that's an area that if we can improve in this 10 days or so that we've had on the training ground, and we can get someone in there who can attack, I think that should be quite good. It looks like they played a kind of bog standard 4-4-2 at home. Again, that could play into our hands if we have a proper midfield three in there as well, so it could be interesting. I think we might see, I don't think Morelos will start, I'll be surprised at that, but I think we might see Windass up front on his own perhaps, or at least at the tip of that triangle, to kind of get at the central defence.
Yeah, the central defenders, as you say, they looked kind of alright. They weren't up against an awful lot, with no disrespect to Petro Cup. Look, Rangers can win this tie, Hoggy. It's very much, I'd say, a kind of pick 'em if you were a neutral looking at it, because the Croatians, as you might expect, have got a really good level of technical ability, comfortable on the ball, organised, work hard, but they're not great. They don't possess, something, an X factor of, well, they've got this dynamite player or this amazing pace or whatever. They're a decent side, and we know that if we don't turn up against a decent side, then we'll get beaten. That we're not good enough to go in and play 70% and get past them. So it's down to what we do. I do believe if we do turn up and we have our key players playing well, then it's very much a winnable tie.
So even with the current squad in, let's call it a rebuilding phase. And as I say, 5.5 weeks of the transfer window to go, I'm fully expecting David more to come in and more to leave. But at this point, with this squad, I'll revert back to the we are Rangers mode. We should be looking to beat this side. And I think with the current squad, we should be expecting to beat this side. The thing that if we go out, it'll be down to us. Solely down to us. So I expect us to be going out and putting on a performance and bringing this tie back to Ibrox that's very, very winnable. And I'm sure we'll come on to potential round 3 opponents. But with that draw today, you're all of a sudden looking at, we have a path here to get us closer than we might have anticipated to the group stages. If we can't get by this side on Thursday and next week, then by Christ, we don't deserve to be anywhere near the group stages.
Yeah, the draw for the next round was made, and it'll see us up against our old foes NK Maribor, who have a good side, a good European side, made the Champions League, got obliterated in it, but they made it. And if not them, it will be a side from Georgia, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, Adam, because listeners to the Patreon site will know that last week I was in hospital after a very, very awful mouth infection, so I really don't want to end up back there, and I think it'll be Maribor anyway. But again, a tie that if it came about you would think, okay, we have a chance. Probably wouldn't be favourites against Maribor in all honesty, but we'd have a chance. However, we're not at the stage where we can look past anyone, I don't think, yet.
No, I think we're just a bit burned from last year. I think Hoggy's point is right. Looking at it on paper, we should be beating Osijek, and I think there's probably an argument that we should be beating Maribor as well, given, I would imagine, looking at it from wages and spend and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't quite work like that, unfortunately, for us, certainly in Europe. So I think, we should be. It's a decent draw when you think of the names that were in the third qualifying round hat that we could have got, such as Feyenoord, Bordeaux, Copenhagen, even Olympiacos, I think, were in there as well. It's a very, very good draw. And you never know, the Georgian team, which I'll give it a go, is Chikura Sakheri. They might come up trumps and it might turn into even more winnable. Part of me kind of in a bit of two minds. I think that I wouldn't have minded a bigger team that we could pit ourselves against at this point, just to kind of see where we were at. I know it's very, very early, so what I'll say there is we can just save that for the playoff round if we get a half decent team in there and see where we're at a couple of months down the line. But it's certainly a very winnable four fixtures, I would say.
Yeah, it is, but again, there's no point looking ahead to round 3 or round 4 when we're not in round 2 yet, or even close to it. You know, not even started the climb yet. Hoggy, Adam thinks Josh Windass possibly up front on his own. Heart and Hands, Lassana Koulibaly is in the squad, and as is Umar Sadiq, so more options for the gaffer. It wouldn't surprise me because he said that Sadiq isn't quite up to the fitness levels yet. He's a little bit behind the rest of the team, as is Koulibaly. So it wouldn't surprise me to see those two start on the bench, but I wouldn't be that surprised if Josh Windass was, as Adam said, maybe leading a front three with Candeas wide and Murphy on the other side. But then again, the manager may decide, you know what, Morelos, I've had a word, he knows that he's been pissed poor, I need his hold-up play, because Windass offers you the threat with his pace, his direct running, but he doesn't quite have the hold-up, and the manager may feel, look, in case we need to get out, I need to have someone there who, if the ball goes up to us, got a chance of sticking.
Yeah, do you know, it's a really tough one, and that's the day when Steven Gerrard gets paid for. I'll be in midfield. I'd actually be quite surprised if Koulibaly doesn't play, especially given it's an away match, and especially given how quite poor the midfield was. Although they were still looking for the ball, they were relatively poor last midweek. Up front, I do think he needs hold-up play, but I really don't think Morelos will play. Just given the way that Gerrard and Michael Beale were reacting to him both at Ibrox and in the away leg, I think he'll drop out, and I do actually think Sadiq will start the match. Even if he only lasts half an hour, then Morelos comes on off the bench, or Windass moves into that role. So I do fully expect Koulibaly and Sadiq to start, and at the end of the day, the only way that they're going to get up to match sharpness is by playing in matches.
Well, that is true. So we usually do predictions, but there's so many unknowns here, so I won't go for what you think will happen here, lads. I'll go for what's a good result for us over there. Obviously a 3-0 victory, but a score draw, narrow score defeat.
I think a score draw is a great result. I think I would take that right now, absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah, I would as well. Hoggy?
Yeah, as long as we score, right? We score. Do I expect we'll cave in and lose 3 or 4? No, I don't. Not with this defence, although Q is losing 3 or 4. But I'd be looking for us to score, definitely. I'd be looking for us to actually taking the game to them a little bit, getting the ball, get out wide. I would like to see Candeas that wee bit wider, David, because he does offer us that goal scoring threat, goal chance creation, if you like. He does offer that threat. I will give a prediction. There you go. I think we'll win 2-1.
Oof, you're on your happy pills this week.
Absolutely. It's usually 22-1 against us, but no 2-1 for us.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, just before we move on to other events of the last week, Epic Promotions are running a night in October, Friday the 19th, at the Doubletree by Hilton Glasgow Hotel. A night with Rangers Legends 3, featuring Arthur Newman, Ronald De Boer, George Alberts and Nacho Novo. It's a pretty good lineup, eh, lads? Wouldn't you mind having a couple of them available for Thursday night?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and we have a chance for you to win a pair of tickets to this dinner and event. All you need to do is go to Epic Promotions Twitter page or Facebook page. Just search for Epic Promotions on Facebook, or their Twitter feed is at Promotions Epic. They are the post at the top. They are the pinned post at the top says, "We are delighted to be running a competition with Heart Hand. You just need to retweet that post and comment podcast." So if you want to go along on Friday 19th in October and meet the Rangers Legends, and why wouldn't you, quite frankly, then that's what you need to do. So get along there to Epic Promotions site, retweet, and good luck. and we'll hopefully see you there on the night. So the other story from last week that made the news was Hoggy, the intervention of Dave King, who spoke to the Rangers support with regards to his on-running battle with the takeover panel, and it was another of these slightly flowery worded Dave King statements. But what was your take on it overall?
Overall, I think end to end, he talked of investment within Ibrox and the Hubble Training Centre. He talked of the cost of manager and player turnover. He talked about Steven Gerrard, and then he had just a pop at, I think, anyone who's ever farted the wrong way in his direction. Mm-hmm. And it's I like this actually, because for way too long, anyone connected with Rangers, it's the whole silent, stiff upper lip routine, and look what that got us, frankly. And I've advocated for long enough that when we talk about referees or decisions or whatever, if we go after them once, it's brushed away as as a bit of grandstanding, and nothing changes. Dave King is clearly riled from May with the whole SFA charge thing. We've got his he hasn't signed Craig Levein yet, which I find somewhat surprising for his Dave King and Craig Levein no fucks given tour.
I believe that Craig Levein's best hope of getting jobs these days, Hoggy, is to be the guy who's doing the interviews.
That's true. So, but for Dave King on earlier in the week, he went into, as a supporters update, he promised he would do one at the start of every season. He's done it. He can say that he's done it. But he used it as a bit of grandstanding to have a pop at the takeover panel, the SFA, the Scottish press, and Mike Ashley. So it was a bit of grandstanding, but it was from the horse's mouth grandstanding. And actually, what it did prompt was, it prompted just a little bit of a response, especially from Lord Bannatyne in the takeover panel.
Adam?
Yeah, I think it's clear. I thought, Hoggy, we covered in the daily update last week that it was quite a succinct message that he set out, basically stating where we're at, and I think it's good to get that. I'm interested. I mentioned on the update last week there wasn't a lot of chat about Malcolm McLennan in that, so I wonder if there's moves afoot there for him, potentially that coming to an end in some way, or that matter. I'm interested to know what happens there, but I think it's good for him just to set his stall out like that, so that we can clearly see where he's at with things, and let him chip away at the off-field things.
Yeah, it's very Dave King, isn't it? And some of it is spot on. Some of it, as Hoggy says, is probably what's going through his mind at that moment. I've always been of the position that as a support we can become too deferential to people in power, and that goes for Dave King as well, and we need to always watch and make sure that they're doing a good job. I don't think anyone should have a fixed opinion of a chairman, i.e. that he is absolutely a good guy and can do nothing wrong, or he is absolutely a bad guy and can do nothing right, which you do get as well. I think you just need to look at everything individually. I've been happier with the manner that the club's been conducting itself over the last 6 months, in terms of the way it's done business, in terms of the press relations, etc. I think that the club have shown an edge, and I think that does come from Dave King, and I'm glad of it. But we have to be aware that he's not, shall we say, a whiter than white character. Would that be fair enough to say? And that there have been times during his tenureship at Rangers that we've been unhappy with him. So I think it's better just to judge any football club owner on a week-to-week basis. They make mistakes, and they do good things and they do bad things, and you've got to be prepared to look at that. As I say, I think a lot of people polarise very quickly, and someone can either do no right or no wrong, and I don't think that's healthy as a support. I think that then just leads into arguments, and it takes the focus of what they're doing. But I must admit, some of the statement, some of the language does make me giggle, because it's almost his own language, isn't it? It's kind of like Dave Kingian. that he speaks at times. So it can be quite amusing to work through. Now, players in, players out. Latest arrival, Adam, Ryan Kent, a winger from Liverpool's youth system. Now, this guy's had a very interesting career already, because if you go to the Liverpool fan sites, message boards, which I did, they speak very highly of him. And if you go to Barnsley, where he had a loan for a season, they think he's wonderful, think he's a brilliant player. But if you were to go to Bristol City, and I must admit I didn't go to Freiburg's in Germany because I don't speak German. We didn't win 2 wars for me to go and fucking read German, by the way. But all joking aside, the Bristol City fans were they were not complimentary about him. So it seems an interesting signing. I mean, undoubtedly there's talent, but are we going to see enough of it?
It's just hard to get excited about a 21-year-old winger coming in, although it's from Liverpool. If it comes off, great. The loans don't make it. The loans don't really work in our favour, particularly in the wing. I think we struggle in those offensive positions. I would prefer if we were. I know there's cost that dictates it, but I'd prefer we were signing more experienced players up there with a bit more quality, rather than what looks to me like a punt on someone that might be quite good, but there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. If this signing comes in to pad out the squad and lets us spend much more money on smaller focused areas, then fantastic, I'm all for it. We are a bit light on the wings. If he's a couple of levels above Middleton, then yeah, sure, but I'm not majorly excited about it at this point.
Hoggy?
I think if he's currently one level above Middleton, then that allows Middleton himself to go out and loan and get week in, week out experience. Then I don't think it's a particularly bad thing. What we shouldn't expect, in my opinion, is this kid to come in and be a world beater, because he's clearly not that. He's clearly a talented boy, but he's done it at Barnsley. He hasn't done it at Bristol City, albeit Bristol City at the time when he got there, they're a very, very settled side and a very consistent side. You've only got to look at their, I think it was a League Cup run, which was pretty tidy. However, he didn't set the world alight there, did well the previous season at Barnsley. That points to an inconsistent young winger. If it's a squad filler, and as I say, allows Middleton to go out and loan and get week in, week out, I'm genuinely more excited, David, about Middleton than I am about Ryan Kent. But as I say, if he can go out, I would rather he got week in, week out game time, and we've got Kent coming off the bench. Even if he's a level above Middleton, then I think that's okay, as long as we're not breaking the bank.
I think it's difficult to get excited about these loan signings of youngsters for us, just because we've had so many of them and nobody's really set the world alight at Ibrox yet. We've had some good starts. Emerson Hyndman, Sean Goss spring to mind, but it's petered out, which I suppose is to be expected of young players. You know, that's kind of why they're out on loan, to allow them to do that. So I think now we're at the stage where the fans are kind of waiting on someone coming in to either that attacking midfield or up front position that's a signing that you go, right, he's somebody that we're hanging our hat on for good or for bad, and I think the fans are ready for that at the moment. But I suppose the law of averages suggests one of them's going to come here and tear it up at some point, right? I mean, we've had enough of them.
Yeah, that's true. You know,
so hopefully it's Ryan Kent, and he'll be manna from heaven to the old guy who sits in front of me at Ibrox, who will, I guarantee you, at his first match plays pass shout, we'd be fucking better off with Clark Kent, and is currently rehearsing that. I guarantee I will hear that 4 minutes into Ryan Kent's debut match, and then hear it another 306 times before Ryan Kent's loan spell ends. So I do have that to look forward to. Okay, folks, that's almost it from us this week. I would just like to thank our executive producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Myers. And before we go, though, just to point you in the direction of our Patreon site, patreon.com/Heart and Hand. If you like this show, you will love our Patreon site, because there are 3, sometimes 4 shows per day, on everything to do with Rangers, to do with current events, to do with tactics, to do with players, to do with old players, to do with famous matches, to do with famous teams. You name it, we cover it. Not just me, not just Hoggy, not just Adam. Around about 20 podders, so all different voices and so much content for just $1.99 a month. Hoggy, I'm cutting my throat here, mate. $1.99 per month.
I'll take 2, thanks.
Well, yeah, but honestly, please go and have a look. You'll love it. We've got over 3,000 people there, and like I say, if you like this show, put it this way: you get 20 shows a week. If you like one of them at 50 pence a week, come on, you're getting your money's worth there. So please keep me in the blue pounds, to which I want to become accustomed to. Just time then to thank my 2 guests for this evening. First of all, the wonderful Mr. Ian Hogg.
As ever, mate, enjoyed it, and thanks for having me on.
The spectacular Mr. Adam Thornton.
Thank you, always a pleasure.
My name's David Edgar, and I will talk to you again this time next week. Till then, take care. Cheers, bye.